Greetings, everyone on the Board of Trustees. This is the February update for instruction, and I thought that instead of interviewing folks on campus, I'd give you a bit about what the instruction team is doing, me and all of my deans and directors. And I thought I'd just talk to you about the 4 goals that are motivating our work in this academic year. We meet quarterly for a retreat to talk about what it is that we want to get done and what we got done last quarter. And so I thought I'd give you an update on that work. So our first goal is focused on our program mix and determining whether it is really meeting the needs of our students, industry, and community, and making sure that we have good, solid systems for looking at that program mix. Right now we're doing a pilot with Central Service Tech, Computer Network Technology, and Automotive, looking at what it might look like to add some evening programs, and what sorts of things that we would need to do to support those evening programs, and really just making sure that we have options for students. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to improve student recruitment, retention, and persistence. And for this one, right now, we're really focusing on the retention. And we're looking at 2 parts of retention. We're looking at students who sign up to attend RTC, but then actually never show up in a classroom, and students who do sign up and come but don't stay. So we're looking at those 2 different aspects of retention, and running surveys and talking to students and just doing that sort of work to dig into those 2 pieces of retention, because we have enough students who fall into those 2 groups that if we could just retain them, it would make a gigantic difference in our overall uh, enrollment numbers. Our third goal is that every staff member at RTC has a clearly defined path for professional development and growth. And this is really about, we have professional development plans that our faculty have to turn in, but they're not really tied in particularly well with RTC's goals, particularly around equity. And sometimes our classified staff are really sort of left out of that work. So we're working on making sure that everybody is included, and we're working with HR, and we've just recently finished a survey that looked at what people wanted from in their professional development, and putting together, and our Professional Development Alliance is meeting to look at the results of that survey and making sure that we are offering the type of professional development that people need to really move the college to the place it is that the college wants to go. So our fourth goal is to expand cultural competency for faculty and staff. This is one that is particularly motivating for me, because a lot of the challenges that we see in instruction when we have problems, it almost always comes down to an issue around cultural competency. It might be an issue around race, or an issue around a lack of understanding of poverty, and a variety of things. But often bad behavior comes down to a lack of understanding of people's cultural perspectives. So we really want to work on this. The college has in the past used the IDI, the Intercultural Development Inventory, to assess people's cultural competency. And while this is the gold standard in looking at cultural competency, there's people who are a little bit uncomfortable with the IDI and the way that it works. So our goal for expanding the way that we're addressing this particular goal is to look for alternatives to the IDI, and encourage people to pick either the IDI or one of its alternatives, and to hopefully by the end of this academic year that everybody has identified a tool by which they would establish their baseline, and then that their baseline is established before the end of the academic year. And then in future academic years, we can look at moving the needle, because it's hard to determine whether we're making any progress in cultural competency if we don't actually have a baseline. So this year's goal is to find a tool, for each person, and there might be a variety of tools that people use, and then establish baselines. So those are the 4 goals that we are working on in instruction. And if you guys have any feedback for us on these goals or how we might achieve them, we would welcome it. Thanks a lot.